And we are back. Starting being more specific regarding the scriptures, in Hebrews, the second chapter, Shaul he explains part of the plan, and he gives a warning to his countrymen regarding the plan of up on high. And then he states in the second chapter, starting with the first verse, he stated, "Therefore we should be extremely cautious in regard to what we have heard, or else we fail. For if the word is spoken via the angels was confirmed, and every one who heard it and did sin then received the discipline. And then, how wilt we escape if we hate what pertains to this way of life of ours, taught by Yahshua the Messiah himself? And because of these, we that are hearing, he is comparing with those who heard him and confirmed to us by them who heard, and that he was truly the Messiah and he came to save." And then in the fourth verse it states, "While Elohim gave testimony concerning them by signs and wonders, by various miracles and distributions of Ruach HaKodesh, that we were given after his will, his own desire. For to the angels he has not subjected to the world to come, and of them we speak. But as the scripture testifies and states, what is a man that you are mindful of him, and the son of man that you are listening to him? You have made him somewhat lower than the angels. Glory and honor have you put on his head, and you have invested him with authority over the work of your hand." And then he explains the part after his ascension, that he was a person that had the world subjected to him. And then he goes to number 9. "We then know that he is Yahshua, who humbled himself to become a bit lower than the angels through his trialings and death, but he is crowned with glory and honor because he tasted death for the sake of everyone apart from Elohim." So he is very interesting because he states Yahshua because he is pointing out the fact that he was sent then to the Goys, and the Goys then would know him as Yahshua. But to his countrymen he did give a warning, stating, "Be not slack regarding to this, but be extremely cautious, because it is Yahweh Yeshua speaking the plans for the people set apart." So with this said, we can understand the importance of listening to the Son of the Creator, because he has a whole lot more to say. And it is very important also because while Elohim gave testimony concerning them by signs and wonders and by various miracles and distributions of the Ruach HaKodesh, he is speaking of the day of Shavuot, when the column of fire came from heaven and then entered the people, and they began to speak, and they were endowed with the power from on high. So this is what Shaul is reminding his people, because during the time that Shavuot, the presence of Ruach HaKodesh came and gave the functions, the city was not properly set for it. Yet it came down, but then there were many persecutions later, and they couldn't get the plan as it was at first, because the idea was encountering a city that was clean, and they would then go out in groups and form other holy lands. And this is what Shaul was reminding them of the way of life that they received from Moses. And obviously he's talking the situation, and they received the Ruach HaKodesh, and the most importantly, they would be prepared for him. And obviously they were not during that time. And that's why there are so many troubles, and the existing church places, they simply don't exist. They were never meant to be outside of the camp. They were only meant to be congregations or groups of people that would come together to share their faith. And there were many confusions, and then the Codex or the Bible was manipulated for many years, and that's why to this day most of the churches, they don't work. They are simply clubs. And this is not what Yahshua intended it. He wanted to be a living part, because the Torah would become living Torah. They would be living Torah in themselves. So they would be the people teaching then the living Torah to the other people, rather than being bound by regulations, because during the time of their own training they were subjected to regulations, so they would place their flesh under the control. So this is what it means. But when Yahshua came as Yahweh Yeshua, then they themselves would become living Torahs, and they would go out and teach the world, and would reconcile the world lost in form of the people, not the world, because the world is condemned. This world, there is no way of saving it. It is set for destruction, as Shimon specified, and he said at the end the elements of the earth would be burned with intense heat. And it was a simple understanding of the shadow picture of Sodom and the cities of the plain, and as namely the shower of the sulfur that's coming upon the earth. It was the shadow of the first. It's not going to be destroyed with nuclear weapons or nuclear materials or only pestilences and so on and so forth. It's going to be destroyed as with a shower of the sulfur. It's very evident, because it was given the first shadow pictures of it. And that's when Yahshua comes, and then at the very last moment he rescues the remnant of his people preaching in the earth. And before destruction, the final destruction comes, then he takes his people away, and then shower of sulfur comes down and burns the earth. And these, at least, people were more aware of it. But Shaul then, he goes on and explains with the details regarding Abraham and what he did, what was taken for him to understand the future plans. And then he goes step by step showing them the importance of listening to Yahweh Yeshua. And up to this day, the land of Israel is in trouble. Ever since the time of Yahshua, they were never able to get back what they were before, because of the lack of understanding of the Creator himself that came in the form of the Son. They were mixed up first regarding the feasts. They thought that the Son would come as the conqueror, and he would place vengeance upon the earth during the first time he came, and that was not the plan. It was not the schedule. The first was the spring feast. It had to be completed, and he came as a servant. First, as a servant, he would teach them how to be servants, so they would serve in the kingdom to come. This is what it was. And then obviously later would come the Torah vengeance. Then the vengeance would come, but they were so used to the old glory, a person might say, during the time of David, during the time of Solomon, where there were lots of conquests, and those, they were not in fact the judgments of the nations. They were only wars. They had to be performed because Yahweh himself had set a perimeter for them to conquer. only because of this factor. He was not bringing judgment upon them or vengeance upon the nations. He only merely set a perimeter for them to take care of the land, and it had to be cleared away. It's a simple fact, because the part of Solomon in Ecclesiastes, the 9th chapter, states very plainly from the 7th through the 9th, there are lots of portions where Solomon is a bit angry with the nations around him, and he wanted vengeance upon those nations because they were very evil. And he was requesting the holy presence of Yahweh in a form of a vengeance. Would be Yahweh Nathan Nakmah. And then he did come as a presence upon Solomon, but then he turned to Abba Father, or Yahweh Abba, and he was teaching him that the request he was asking of him, it was not valid at that moment because vengeance was not yet. So the nations then that Israel conquered, they were not judgments and vengeance upon them. They were simply the conquering of those countries to clear away the land delineated for them to inhabit. Vengeance would come a whole lot long in the future yet. So this can give a whole lot more meaning to what Shaul was preaching to them. And he said, be very cautious, because please do not hate what Yahshua taught, and in this case regarding to the Hebrews would be Yahweh Yeshua. Make sure, be extremely cautious not to violate those words, and make sure that they would be obedient. And the problem was, they thought the Yahweh, the Son, would come as a conqueror, conquering the other nations and executing vengeance on them, and it wasn't the time. The schedule was mixed up. So they ended up being mixed up, and that's where they are at. Rather than going around the world and establishing holy lands as per Moses' instructions, and then teaching the Goys, inviting them in as per the desire of Ruach HaKodesh, and then teaching another group and going out and teaching other groups and then going out and forming other holy lands, they got stuck very badly. What they have at the moment is a reversed state of Yom Kippur. Rather than they themselves enjoying the presence of Ruach HaKodesh, is the facet of the Creator, they begin to be stuck in their own regulations. So merely they have no life in them, because Yahshua then, he is dispersed, and the churches outside, they are not even churches, they are merely congregations, but they are lording over each other and try to get this crazy gifting that does not exist, and those who are only meant for the people of the camp. But this is what is returning, and we should be grateful for, and much more coming up. Please stay tuned.